Hey, everybody. This is Carl for Carl's Opinion. Welcome to our late night live call in show, Tuesday night live call in show. A lot of things to discuss tonight. Immigration, of course, front and center. The House passed as you see from the headline here, the House passed the their version of the 4.5 billion border bill, which of course was not in line with the president requested or not even in line with the Senate passed. And the Senate was pretty much bipartisan in what they passed. I mean, what came out of their committee was a 30 to 1 vote out of their committee. So I mean, they had both Republican and Democratic support on that one, but that wasn't good enough for the House. And the House, you get all the crazies over there, and they were threatening not to vote for it unless you put restrictions on ICE. You know, they're afraid. They're afraid. Well, they're not afraid. What they want to do is pretty much create an open border situation. So they want to provide money for humanitarian aid. At the same point in time, they don't want ICE to be able to do their job. They want ICE. They want anybody to be able to hold anybody for any length of time. So pretty much it says open borders. So as soon as some people get there and they say they wanted money for inspections of the facilities, but they didn't want any money for to combat human trafficking at the same time. Hey, Rocky USA, how you doing there? So in other words, what they're saying is they wanted money for inspections and say, okay, pretty much we got to release these people because the way the children are being treated is terrible. It's awful. We got to just release them. So basically, you just wanted to say, okay, here's some money to feed them while you keep them there for a few days, but then you got to like get rid of them as soon as possible, which pretty much creates an open border situation because all it's saying is, okay, you can take them in 10 seconds. And we're not going to give you enough troops to, or police officers to interdict them to begin with, and then you got to just like release them to the general public. So pretty much you're like, hey, but yeah, so pretty much it's like just like a little weighing station. Okay, you can take them in, maybe feed them up, clothe them up, get them some showers, get them some food, and then send them on their way. So it's actually, as far as the Democrats are concerned, it's even better than open borders because it's kind of like a truck stop. So basically, they wanted Border Patrol to act like as a truck stop. Okay, the illegal immigrants are coming up from Honduras and they stop in Mexico in some town, get something to eat, and then they get across the border, claim asylum, whatever. We're a family unit, and since we're not going to give you enough money and enough beds to detain these people long enough for them to get to a court hearing or to be able to process them, just get them some food, get them some clothing, get them a nice hot shower, like you do at a truck stop, and then go on your way, and see you later. And then, of course, nobody comes back. So that's the Democrats' plan for the bill is. It's basically create an open border situation without creating an open border situation. And again, the Senate, was huge bipartisan support in the Senate bill, provided all the humanitarian aid money, but also provided additional resources for enforcement. Because right now, a lot of these Border Patrol agents, most of them, I think something like 40% of their time is spent just, if you will, taking care of the people they got there. They got them. They're not on the front lines. In fact, you'll see a story where even TSA is having to send several hundred people down to the border just to try to assist. With some of the enforcement. You'll see another story where a couple of troops. Yeah, well, I totally agree, Rocky. It is ridiculous. But even if you build the wall, you're still going to have to create more more facilities and things like that because people are still going to find a way across. But yeah, I mean, if they build a damn wall, it acts as a major deterrent to begin with. I mean, it's a big structure sitting there in your face. We'll go to corrupt. Well, hopefully not. But yeah, I can see where you would think definitely, and it's been proven, a lot of money would go to corrupt politicians' pockets. There's some friends, or maybe some like a politician's friends who makes blankets. Okay, that kind of person. And it's like, oh, we need more blankets. Oh, I know a guy. It's like, oh, okay, and here comes a big campaign contribution. But the main problem is it's just like we and they're saying first they were saying there wasn't a crisis, then they're saying there is a crisis. Now they say it's a manufactured crisis. Then they say now it's a crisis of Trump's own doing. Well, it's not a crisis of Trump's own doing. If anything, he's doing everything humanly possible to prevent it. As you saw, even the Mexicans are sending 15,000, a combination of troops and National Guard troops units to the border themselves to try to cut back on the interdiction. And the nice thing about this mess here, if the House will not compromise with the Senate, then I think you'll see even McConnell saying, you know what, if Trump wants to impose tariffs on Mexico to get them to do something, he may end up changing his mind on that. I mean, I know he's got a lot of money behind him, the Koch brothers and everything else, saying no tariffs, no tariffs. But McConnell came up with a really reasonable bill. McConnell's not a big hawk on immigration, and he believes the bill that's coming out of the Senate is very reasonable. It passed a huge bipartisan support. He was happy with it, and he sent it to the House thinking like you shouldn't have any problems with this. They get it over there, and they just turn it into a complete nightmare. I was watching some of the floor debate on the House tonight, and one of the Republicans was up there saying, like, for instance, you provide money for inspections of DHS facilities and HHS facilities for the children, but you provide no money for interdiction. ICE asked for 54,000 beds. Because they say we got all these people in interior, you give 34,000 beds and maybe 7,000 contingent on your good behavior. You provide no money for any kind of enforcement, no money for additional personnel on the border, no money for transportation, nothing like that. So again, they just pretty much gutted it. They can say they did something. Well, if I was a Senate, I'd hold firm and say, because they're going to go to conference, and the Senate's got their bill, the House has their bill. Now they have to go to a conference committee to try to iron out the differences. Now, the last time this happened, the Senate Republicans caved in on the Democrats, and they gave them a lot of what they wanted, a lot of the restrictions on the funding, on how they could use the money. Like, for instance, in this bill, the Democrats gutted overtime payments for these guys, saying they can't get paid overtime, for all the extra hours they're putting in. They're just pretty much making it where nobody wants to work there either. That's another way. Get rid of ICE, get rid of Border Patrol, get rid of detentions. Pelosi made a comment the other day saying, well, why do you need more detention facilities on the interior? I mean, she goes, that doesn't make any sense. In other words, her opinion was that, why would you do that? Her opinion is, well, once you cross the border and you get released by, Customs Border Patrol, well, then you should be able to stay. It's like, well, you won, you got in, you won the lottery, yay! Now you can stay. You don't have to leave. So why should we be detaining anybody in the interior? Trump even made that deal with her where he said, okay, we're not going to do any of those deportations, and she's out there stepping all over him, bragging about it, instead of saying, hey, I asked the president, he did me a favor. No, she can't even say that. Instead, she's bragging, oh, yeah, I stopped him from doing it. Well, you got to turn right around this weekend and say, you know what, screw you guys, we're doing the deportations this weekend. Have a nice day. I asked you to do a bipartisan bill. You asked me not to go forward. I did it, and you've been out there, busting my ass on it, saying how great you were and how much I suck. But you know what? Okay, fine. Don't announce it. Just all of a sudden, we'll just hear about it on the news. All these people got picked up across the United States. No announcement. No asshole leaking it. None of that shit. Like that one guy did. McLennan, who turns out gave $2,400 to the Obama campaign, was kind of a liberal, waiting in the wings, waiting to spring his trap on everybody, and stop everything from going forward. But anyway, hey, hold on, let me grab a cigarette. But hey, Rocky, yeah, I got a new mixer board, so I'm just kind of curious how the audio sounds on the other end there. So just let me know what you think, how it sounds out there, and anybody listening, just let me know what's going on. As far as the audio goes, it's a new mixing board. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's sounding pretty good, but it's always the final product that how it comes through on somebody's phone or somebody's laptop. That's always the important part. So if you just put in there and say, hey, audio sounds good, or something like that, or needs a little more volume or a little less or whatever, just that'll be cool. I'd appreciate that. So, yeah, like I said, I got a new mixer board, so if the audio sounds good or it needs a little up or down or whatever, just let me know. I tested it out earlier with some test YouTube videos to see how it sounded. It sounded good. Oh, excellent. Thanks, Rocky. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. Yeah, you can never tell until what somebody hears on the other end. I heard it on YouTube myself earlier, but you can never. Oh, excellent. Okay, good. See, exactly. It's a kind of. I was listening to it on a laptop, so you got it on your tablet. That sounds good. Then maybe somebody key in who's listening to it on a phone. Then kind of that'll be good too. So, man, I appreciate it totally. All right. So anyway, let's get to this story about the Democrats approving the 4.5 billion, their version of the 4.5 billion dollar border bill, and let's see how they managed to screw this one up as usual. And there's a picture of Nancy Pelosi. We'll get her off as soon as possible. This is from Stephen Dinan and Gabriel Munez of the Washington Times. So anyway, here we go. 5 months after labeling the border a manufactured crisis, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi led Democrats on Tuesday to approve a $4.5 billion humanitarian assistance package President Trump had requested to deal with a record surge of illegal immigrants. but Democrats took their pound of flesh in the vote, deleting some of the president's priorities from the final bill, such as money for investigators to stop human traffickers or more detention beds for ICE. Instead, they packed the measure with new rules on how Mr. Trump can spend the money and on the conditions migrants can face when they arrive at the border. This is a ridiculous thing. It's like micromanaging what the agencies can actually do with the money. I mean, you gotta allow the agencies to have some flexibility. That you definitely got to have that. And if you're telling the agencies, okay, you can only do this, you can only do this, I mean, that's, they got to be able to make decisions on the ground without running back to Nancy Pelosi and saying, is this okay, mommy? Can I do this? So anyway, House leaders added still more anti-Trump, and that's how they think of it, anti-Trump. This is anti-American, I'll call it that, more anti-American restrictions to the bill at the last minute in order to persuade wavering liberals to back the measure, which cleared Tuesday evening on a 230, 195 vote that broke down almost entirely along party lines. In other words, most of the Republicans voted against this because they knew it was a setup and it was a bunch of crap. Anyway, Pelosi goes on to say, today our legislation is a vote against the cruel attitude toward children of this administration. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he does her a favor, gives her a little bit of, gravitas, and then she just shits all over him. If I was him, I'd just say, fuck you. You want to be Mrs. Queen? You think you're all that hot? Here. We'll say goodbye to a bunch of your friends in your neighborhood. If I was him, I'd direct most of the roundups to San Francisco. That's what I would say. Don't spread it around. Just send them all right to San Francisco and just take them all out. And then she can tell her constituents how she protected them, which she did not. That's what I would do. Oh, hey Nancy, I heard you protected your people really good. Well, they're all in a cell heading back to whatever country they came from. So anyway, Mrs. Pelosi said as she sought to rally fellow Democrats who were reluctant to vote for anything that might seem like a win for Mr. Trump on immigration. Again, they got politics so far up their ass, instead of doing what's right, even for these kids. I mean, these kids are, that are over there. I mean, the conditions aren't that good, and even for them, they'd rather just, put a stick in Trump's eye than to help these kids out. I mean, this is how deranged these people are. This is Trump derangement syndrome to the max. So anyway, the future of the House bill is very much in doubt, though. Yeah, no kidding. It's never going to get past the Senate, and it's never going to get past the veto. While it includes money Mr. Trump sought, the White House objects to the specific allocations and the restrictions Democrats attached. A veto has been threatened. He ought to not just threaten; he ought to just do it. Just do it. Veto it. Okay. Do it this time. Okay. Pull the trigger. This time's enough. Okay. That's it. This is not one of our finest moments, said House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, California Republican. He suggested that the House should wait on the Senate, which is working on a bipartisan $4.6 billion bill that is more to the president's liking. Again, here it is. The bill cleared a Senate committee on a 30-1 vote last week. 30-1. That was like, was it 27 Republicans? Sorry, that's wrong. It's like, that would have been like, let's see, maybe 16 Republicans, 13 Democrats, or 15 Republicans, 13 Democrats. I don't know. I mean, whatever it was bipartisan. 30-1 vote, okay? There's only one Democrat voted against it. All the other Democrats on the Senate committee voted in favor of it. That shows you how bipartisan the bill was. I mean, that's it. There's your roadmap right there. Enough's enough, okay? Anyway, that bill cleared the Senate committee on a 30-1 vote last week. Republican leaders are looking to clear floor time as early as Wednesday to pass it through the full chamber. Yeah. I mean, it's going to get right through the chamber. I mean, on a 30-1 vote from committee, they're good. But then what happens then is anyone's guess. Both the House and the Senate are scheduled to be on vacation next week for the Independence Day holiday, meaning either a bill clears by Friday or waits 10 days. Well, as Trump, I'd say, fine, let it wait 10 days. I mean, you say you want to sit down and wait, fine. Or just, you know what, I know what's a better idea. How about don't go away for 10 days? Let's try that one out. How about stay in town? But the Health and Human Services Department, which is responsible for caring for some of the illegal immigrant children at the border, could run out of money early next month, making any delay a risk. We're out of capacity and we're out of money, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar told radio show host Yu Hewitt on Tuesday. Without money, he said, it'll be like operating during a government shutdown. The action on Capitol Hill came as turmoil gripped the Homeland Security Department. John Sanders, who had been serving as acting commissioner of the border agency, revealed he is leaving July 5th. He had been in office for only a couple of months. His replacement is Mark Morgan, who is the acting head at U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Interior Security Agency. When Mr. Morgan leaves ICE, his replacement there will be Matt Albans, currently the deputy director. The shakeup came as grim reports continue to flow in from the border. A spate of immigrant deaths resulting from the summer heat and the treacherous waters of the Rio Grande, and new reports of deplorable overcrowding and unsanitary conditions at Customs and Border Protection Agencies facilities left Democrats steaming. Well, it's their fault. I mean, they're steaming. Why? Because they say they're encouraging these people to come across. They're saying, "Hey, you come across as a family, we can't hold you. We have to release you. If you come across and you just yell asylum, we have to release you. We can't hold you if you have a family member with you. So bring a family member." That's the Democrats telling. I mean, it just didn't magically happen that suddenly we went from like 800 a day to 4,500 a day at the border. That wasn't by magic. That was by the Democrats telling them, come across, and this is how you do it, so you don't have to be detained, and we can't hold you. We're going to have to release you. And then they blame it on Trump. And that's what Bernie Thompson said. I mean, Republicans countered that it's overwhelming. That it's the overwhelming numbers that are the problem. The lack of cooperation from Democrats in closing the loopholes and enticing migrants to come. No kidding. You know, if you change these asylum laws and you make it where it's, where you up the ante on what the burden of proof is to show you really need asylum, and you change the measurements of what is considered asylum, what isn't, then you're not going to have 4,000, 4,500 people per day, per day. So as of last week, border facilities built to hold perhaps maybe 4,000 people had 15,000 people in them. And they say, oh, well, you're treating them badly. It's like, well, these things weren't designed to hold this many people. And what do you want us to do? They're coming across. They're in our custody. Now they're our concern. We can't just let them go without processing them first. Anyway, some 1,400 of those were unaccompanied children who were waiting to be transferred to the health department, which had only 450 open beds. So you got 15,000 people there. 1,400 were unaccompanied children. And for those 1,400 children, you only had 450 beds open. What are you supposed to do? And then they ask for money. They say they put all these strings on the money, saying what you can and cannot do with the money, what you can and cannot spend it on. We're going to demand inspections, and we're going to be looking over your shoulder. Well, how about helping us out a little bit? No, we just want, again, they just want open borders. Let's let them all in, and that's it. Okay, as of last week, okay, here we go. At the White House, Mr. Trump said he was very concerned about the conditions on the border, but he insisted they are much better than they were under President Obama by far. True. The president said he would like to see Democrats cooperate in stopping the migrant surge. Our laws are so bad. What we would like to do, and I'll do it right now officially, is ask the Democrats to give us help on asylum, help on all of the loopholes. The president said we need the votes of Democrats. He wants to raise their standards, right, exactly, for making asylum claims, repair a 2015 court ruling that requires illegal immigrant families to be released from detention within 20 days. So even though they're not even able to hold them for 20 days right now, because that 20-day law ruling is in effect, these people come up here knowing that, well, you can't hold us for more than 20 days, so you're going to have to release us. So that increases more people. If you said we can hold you longer, then that would cut down how many people are coming across. Anyway, that is less than half the time. 20 days is less than half the time it usually takes to have a judge hear the case once they are released. And once they're released, they often disappear into the shadows. So basically, you have to release them within 20 days. Hey, douchebag. Hey, Effie loves America. How you guys doing down there? Good seeing you. But, I was telling Rocky, got a new mixer board, trying out the sound, and Rocky says it sounds good on his tablet, but I just want to know how it sounded like on the desktop, laptop, and if either of you guys are using a cell phone, how it sounds on the cell phone also. So just put in the chat, let me know how it sounds out there. That'd be totally cool. Just let me know how it sounds like to you, how not just the volume, but how the quality of the sound of my voice sounds. Because, I have a really cool sounding voice. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying. So, like, how it sounds, if it sounds full, that kind of stuff. But, yeah, good seeing you, Mr. Dirtbag. Definitely for sure. And good seeing you, Effie. No doubt. So, but anyway, so, yeah, this thing with the House, I was just covering this thing with the House and pretty much how the House gutted what the president's request was. And it's totally crazy because the Senate bill passed out of committee 30 votes to 1 vote. Only 1 Democrat voted against it, which means that the Senate bill was totally bipartisan and provided enough funding for Health and Human Services, which takes care of the kids. It provided, it's not enough money, but it provided a good amount of money for Department of Homeland Security, and also enough money for, not enough money, but more money for ICE, for their detention facilities and for their enforcement. And then the House came back and gutted the bill, and then they also put a bunch of strings on attaching attached to it, cutting down on the number of beds for ICE. Nancy Pelosi saying, "Well, what's the point? Why do you need more detention facilities once they on the interior of the country? Like, in other words, once they get across the border and we release them, that should be the end of it. They're free, and it's immoral to like kick them out." Sounds clear, but a bit tinnier than usual. Tinnier. Let's see. Tinnier. What would I do to decrease the tinnier sound? Now you got me thinking. Now I got to try to figure that one out. I don't know. Oh, maybe bring down. Let's try this. Maybe try that. I don't know. I just moved one of the knobs. I moved the mid-range frequency. I adjusted the frequency to just set it back just a little bit. So now that sounds too deep. Then I got a little bit more variation I can do. But so hopefully it sounds a little bit better. We'll see. But yeah, it's kind of a work in progress. WIP, work in progress. But yeah, so anyway, so the Senate passes their bill, and then the House says, okay, we'll give you money we want money to be able to inspect these facilities that are housing these illegal people, but we're not going to give you any money to do any kind of human trafficking investigation. ICE wanted, hey, Shonda, how you doing there? ICE wanted enough money for 54,000 beds. They gave enough money for 34,000 beds. What else? Let's see. Oh, they restricted no overtime payments as well. So they wanted to take care of that. Let's see. There we go. They want to take care of They allowed for no overtime payments for these guys working their asses off down there, and just a whole bunch of nonsense. So anyway, in fact, here's some of the specifics right here. So anyway, so none of these issues were part of Tuesday's bill. What was included were 2.9 billion to replenish HHS funding to shelter and care for migrant children, 200 million for a new model for processing illegal immigrant children and families at the border, nearly 800 million to alleviate overcrowding at CBP facilities, and $60 million in assistance to communities overwhelmed by migrants being released to the jurisdictions. So there you go. But anyway, so with that said, little Latinos for Trump chant "Build the Wall" and cheer ICE at Mike Pence's speech. So not a bad thing. So just to let you know, it's not all bad. So let's see. Anyway, let's take a look at this article. It's from the Washington Examiner. Oh. Anyway, Vice President Mike Pence kicked off President Trump's Latinos for Trump initiative in Florida to chants of "Build the Wall" by the audience. There you go. Latinos for Trump chanting "Build the Wall." The chants came as Pence said Trump and The chance came as Pence said Trump and Latino voters both supported law and order. Because Latino and Hispanic Americans believe in law and order, and we support our law enforcement, the vice president said at the Miami event as a "Build the Wall" chant started in the audience. Right. In other words, I've said this. Hope you are doing the same. Oh, thanks, Shonda. Yeah, doing good over here. Yeah, I've said this a long time ago. I said, look, once you get rid of this immigration issue, I go, Hispanics are natural Republicans. They just don't know it completely because they're being brainwashed by the Democrats and the multi-billion-dollar multimedia operation to convince them that oh, no, you're really Democrats. But if you look at all the issues, like especially the abortion issue, I mean, Hispanics are overwhelmingly Catholic, Roman Catholic. They're not in favor of abortion. The Pope, everybody says, oh, the Pope is so cool. Yeah, he's talking shit on Trump about immigration. And then the Pope comes out and says, hey, man, abortion is murder. And everybody says, oh, the Pope is bad. Oh, the Pope is bad. It's like, wait a second. You just said he was cool 2 minutes ago, but now he's bad. Well, these Latinos, they're Roman Catholic. They go to church. They're huge churchgoers. And I've said it before. They're anti-abortion. They're pro-life. They're pro-business, pro-entrepreneur. That means low taxes, low regulations. They're pro-law and order. They generally live in dangerous, inner cities, and not the greatest neighborhoods in the world where you got high crime. So what do they want? They want good law and order. A lot of them came across here, whether legally or illegally, to get their kids the American dream, namely get their kids a good education. So they're like pro-school choice. They don't want their kids going to some crappy public school in some downtown urban area. They want to be able to have the choice to be able to send their kids to a good school. I mean, they're natural. They walk in as natural Republicans, but the problem is, as soon as when they hit the border, the Democrats give them all this free shit and they bribe them, just like the Democrats did with the Italians and the Irish. I mean, for over 100 years, Irish immigrants, Italian immigrants, I'm half Italian, were Democrats because when they got off the boat, they landed, and then they came onto the mainland. They were greeted by the Democratic Party machine. They said, "Oh, here's some low-cost housing, cheap, disaster of some kind of tenement. Here's some food. Oh, here's a job, and make sure." And then on election day, just like in Dinesh D'Souza's movie, they come grab the guys. They show like the Italian immigrants in the house and with the kids, and a couple of big dudes, wasp-looking dudes, bang on the door and tell them, "Come on, we're going to take you to the polls. You're going to go vote." Well, that was 150 years ago. They're doing the same thing today, the same exact thing. And so even though generally even like Italians and Irish and Germans would naturally be kind of be natural Republicans also, based on freedom. They came over for freedom and for business ventures and things like that. A lot of Italian immigrants started their own businesses, just like a lot of Hispanic immigrants started their own businesses. German immigrants, my grandfather was a butcher, had his own butcher shop, etc. I mean, that kind of stuff. But when they get hit with that free stuff, as soon as they in 100 years ago, 150 years ago, when they got off the boat, they got hit with this free shit, and they were told you had to vote Democrat, period, or you didn't have a house. And now you just switch it from like the East Coast down to the southern border, same shit. Democrats are right there on the border like they were 100 years ago, on the East Coast saying, "Oh, here's some free shit, vote Democrat." I mean, probably for 100 years, most Italians voted Democrat. I mean, that's a recent phenomenon where you have the Italian community voting, a lot of Italians voting Republican. That's just recent. It took 100 years to get them unbrainwashed. I want you to think about that. So, but if we can work a little bit faster with the Hispanics, we got social media now. If we can go a little bit faster, like instead of 100 years, maybe like 5 years, then maybe we can get somewhere. Remember, in 2004, George Bush got 42% of the Latino vote. 42% of the Hispanic vote went to George W. Bush, just on the promise that he was going to get something done on immigration. Something done, just anything, just end the issue, period, one way or the other. And that got him 42% of the vote. I mean, that number is right out there again, and it sounds like Trump's heading into those numbers right now. So, I mean, it's just got to, just get them away from the free shit, and then now it's not helping with the Central Americans coming across because they're totally coming across with the free shit. I mean, the surge right now is all based on the promise of free shit. It's not based on come here, get a job. It's free shit. And I'll get to an story here about Guatemala here in a second where a leader of Guatemala said, yeah, it's pretty much for the free shit. Same thing. But so let's hear what Pence had to say. He goes, because Latino and Hispanic Americans believe in law and order, and we support our law enforcement. The vice president said at the Miami event as a build the wall chant started in the audience full of Latino and Hispanic Americans. Pence went on to say, this president knows that a nation without borders is not a nation. Pence said in response, saying the president had taken decisive steps to secure the border. The audience also cheered after Pence said Trump supports the Customs and Border Protection, Immigration, and Customs Enforcement agencies. Now, I guarantee you they did not show this on the mainstream media. There are no way in hell they're showing you a bunch of Hispanics and Latino people cheering Mike Pence when he's talking about Customs and Border Protection, and ICE. I guarantee you, because they don't want you to hear that narrative. They don't want you to know that Hispanic and Latino voters support law and order and support closing the damn border. They don't. The mainstream media doesn't want you to hear that, but there it is. Okay, I mean these people were all cheering and stuff. Pence called Trump a great champion of Latino and Hispanic Americans. Yeah, because he's providing opportunities and good education and tough on crime and getting rid of MS-13 gangs, which generally prey on immigrant communities. And he's increasing entrepreneurship and making it easier to start a small business, which they come over here to do. Okay, and he also said the new group would be pivotal to the 2020 election. I agree. Trump won roughly 29% of the Hispanic vote in 2016. Polling among Hispanic voters about Trump's approval remains inconclusive, with polls showing his support in anywhere from the mid-20s to 50%. Yeah, the polling's all over the damn place on this. It's crazy. I mean, trying to get some consistent polling on this is crazy. But I've seen polls as high as the high 40s also. I don't know how much I trust them, but I've seen polls down around the 20s. I don't know how much I trust those. I think the number's somewhere in the middle, but whatever it is, hopefully. He went on to say President Donald Trump is the best friend of Latino and Hispanic businesses. Exactly. Got a phone call coming in. Let's see who this is. Hold on. You're on Carl's Opinion. Who's this?
My name is Billy. How's it going?
Wait, who's this?
My name's Billy. They call me William Johnson also.
Well, hello, Billy. How are you? What can I do for you tonight? You're on Carl's Opinion.
Yeah, how's it going?
Going good. What do you want to talk about?
I am a big supporter of Donald J. Trump, and I agree about them illegal immigrants coming into America.
And what do you think he should be doing about it?
I think that he should be locking them in a fence, torturing them, and beating them to death.
Well, we don't want to be beating anybody to death. I'm sorry, we don't go around beating people to death. So that's not what we do in America. Maybe that's what you do whenever part of the world you're from, but no, we don't do that. But anyway, hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate you calling in. Take care. Bye bye. Let's see. Yeah, we don't we don't suggest violence as an answer. But anyway, so that's our first phone call of the night. And who's going to bed? Carl, I gotta get take care. Sean and Effie, have a good week. All right, I gotta go and take care. All right, man. Hey, great dirtbag. Have a good one, man. Talk to you later. But okay, yeah. And so there was Billy calling in. Yeah, I know. I got him. Normally I would send the zombie out. I know you guys know what the zombie is, but I figured let me hear what this one has to say. I didn't recognize the number. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do the zombie tonight. Let me just hear what this person has to say. So gotta I was kind of curious myself. It sounded like a young kid. Yeah, I agree. But it's like, what are you doing? You should be. See, this is the problem with America. This kid should be like reading a book or something. I know school's out. I get it, but still, read a book. Okay, stay off the internet. It's bad for you. But anyway, so let's finish round this story out. But anyway, let me get to the next one real quick. Anyway, Penn says President Donald Trump is the best friend the Latino and Hispanic businesses have ever had in the White House, and I totally agree with that. And there's a picture of the crowd right there. That's cool. Let me see if I can get it bigger. Let's see. Nope. I didn't do that. Too bad. But actually, I can get it bigger. What am I talking about? I can do all kinds of things. Let's see. Yeah, see? Look, there's a crowd. Yay! There you go. Up, the same guy calling again. Sorry, Billy, we're not taking your phone call. All right, so he's back here. But anyway, let's see. Oh, I see. Let me try to get a shot of this picture real quick here. And bring it up a little bit. Hold on. Let's see. There we go. And let me get out of the way. There we go. I'm not helping. I'm not helping any. I'm in the way. Anyway, there's the size of the crowd. That's a nice looking crowd. Definitely a nice looking crowd he had down there. And you got, again, you won't see. I guarantee you, this was not covered on MSNBC. It was not covered on CNN. A bunch of Hispanic Latino people cheering on Mike Pence when he's praising Trump and praising ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. Guarantee they kind of left this out of their coverage tonight. They had to talk about something stupid, but I guarantee this wasn't it. I heard Brian Williams saying today on his show, he goes, "Oh, and a crisis at the border that Trump created himself. He did not create this crisis, and Williams knows better. Williams is a Canadian anyway. I mean, is he an illegal immigrant? Is Brian Williams an illegal immigrant? Should we send ICE to his house? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't send ICE to his house. I mean, I know he likes to lie on air. Remember, he got shot down on that helicopter. Yeah, and then he got fired. He was suspended from NBC for like 6 months. And then it was funny. They brought him back when the Pope came to visit. And everybody said, "Gee, it took the Pope to bring him back." And we we couldn't get him back. But anyway, hey, hold on. We'll get the zombie out. The zombie. Here comes the zombie. Hey, you're on with Carl's Opinion. Who's this? Doing good. Oh, we're doing immigration, illegal immigration. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're talking about. Ah, the zombie gotcha. Hey, guess what? I got the zombie got somebody. uh, hey, okay. Can everybody hear me again? Let me make sure I'm back up. All right, hold on. Let's see. All right, I think I'm back up. Let me see here. All right, yay, I'm here. Whoopee. All right. So, anyway, good thing I deployed the zombie. The zombie got the last troll. Da da da. Zombie deployed. So, but you gotta see. That's why I have the zombie. You know, that's why I got the zombie. Gotta have that zombie. It's important. So, yep, there was a zombie. Definitely, trolls will be zombied. Exactly. Yeah. See, I like that zombie. But yeah, it was always funny because they think they're getting it on. Hold on. Let me do this right here. They think they're getting it on air, right? And all they're getting is a zombie. We could hear your half right. That's right. You can hear me right, but you can hear the other guy. Yeah, I left mine on, but I turned the caller off. So anyway, you can still hear me. But anyway, so yeah, what I'll do, yeah, I got the new mixer board, so yeah, I'll turn myself down too as well because I got two separate controls now. It used to be one control for both me and the caller on the volume, but now it's two separate controls. But hey, good. Thanks for telling me because now I'll remember to turn me off also. Because otherwise you miss out on the zombie, what the zombie has to say. That's not good. So hey, thanks for the 411 on that, Effie. Much appreciated. But yeah, okay. So anyway, let's get back to this story. So anyway, again, there's a whole bunch of Hispanics and Latinos, and of course, like I said, you won't see that reported on CNN and MSNBC. So let's bring this back down. There we go. All right, let me get to the next story because this is kind of cool. This story here, I pulled this up. It's from June 24th. I think I pulled it up. Yeah, I did pull it up yesterday. Guatemalan, a senior official, admits benefits in U.S. and Mexico are incentives to leave. And what this story pretty much says is it's really not asylum seekers. This is a Guatemalan senior official. And again, this is from immigrationreform.com. So anyway, in a recent exclusive interview with the Daily Caller, Guatemalan Minister of Governance Enrique Degenhardt revealed that his fellow countrymen are not fleeing because of economic or security reasons. Instead, Degenhardt claimed they are leaving due to the incentives offered by Mexico and the United States. Right. In other words, he's saying, look, let me start by saying that, and he goes on to talk about his own country, Guatemala. I mean, if anything, he'd be talking down about it to say, we need some money, help us. And he goes, let me start by saying this is the Guatemalan, let me repeat this again, Guatemalan Minister of Governance, Enrique Degenhardt. He gave an interview to the Daily Caller. He goes, this is what he says. Let me start by saying that our macroeconomic numbers in the country are very good. We have actually the lowest criminal rates in the country that we have had in the past 15 to 20 years. 15 to 20 years. Now that's kind of funny because remember we were hearing about how horrible the crime is in Guatemala, and that's why people are fleeing. Well, I guess that's not so true. Now is it? Ah. So anyway, he goes, they're the lowest criminal rates in the country that we've had in the past 15 to 20 years, which means that it's probably not a factor of economics or security. Indeed, Degenhardt is right. The Guatemalan economy saw major improvements over the last decade. Between 2007 and 2017, their annual GDP more than doubled, increasing from 34 billion to 76 billion dollars. Think about that. Our GDP is 20 trillion. Imagine it doubled next year. No, imagine it doubled in the next 10 years. When we went from 20 trillion GDP to 40 trillion GDP in the next 10 years. Can you imagine that? We would be like insane. It would be totally crazy. Looks like we got another potential zombie caller. But anyway, I'm not gonna interrupt the flow of the show for the zombie. Even though I know everybody likes a zombie, but that's okay. All right. So anyway, so meanwhile, the country's unemployment rate fell from 4.13% in 2011 to 2.73% in 2018. I want you to think about that. Our unemployment rate is what, 3.6% right now, 3.7. We think that's great. Their unemployment rate is 2.73%. So they have pretty close to full employment. Their GDP doubled in the last 10 years. Their crime has gone down. It's the lowest level it's been in 15 to 20 years. And suddenly, however, like they have a problem where they need asylum. No, they don't. No, but see, again, this is the problem. These are not the same. These are not the immigrants of your, like, remember, like, this is not your father's Democratic Party. These are not your father's immigrants coming across the border. These are not your father's illegal immigrants. There we go. These are not your father's illegal immigrants, okay, coming across the border right now. These aren't people like they coming for a job. These aren't people coming across because, they want to work. These are people coming over because they were promised a bunch of free shit and they were told by the Soros groups that go down there and tell them how to claim asylum, that you can come live in the United States, and promise all these, they're going to be. There was a joke from, I remember my grandmother told me this joke, and my grandmother was an immigrant from Sicily, you know, and she spoke Italian, though, albeit she wouldn't let her children speak Italian in the house. She wouldn't let her children speak Italian at all, my mom included. She would let her kids speak anything but English. She wanted them to learn English, which, go figure. So anyway, but she told the joke, and it had to do with like what immigrants would believed what they were told what America was when they got here from Italy. And so they were told like the pavement were made of bricks of gold, right? And it was just money laying all around inside the United States. And the joke that was told was that there was this immigrant walking down the street in New York City, and he looks down and he sees a dollar bill. Now, a dollar bill back in those days, that's a lot of money, okay? So anyway, he's walking down the street, he sees a dollar bill on the ground. And what's he do? He looks, and I'm sure there's like a way to say it in Italian that was funny, but it was pretty much he looks at it and goes, I'm not going to waste my time picking that one up. Because in other words, he was told the streets were flowing with money, so why should he waste time picking up a dollar bill? He could just walk a few more steps and there'll be a $10 bill, or a $20 bill or something, going ahead. And that's what these immigrants are being told right now. It's like, hey, come here, you get all this free stuff, and so they're not coming here for work. And plus they're coming across as a family unit. I mean, you just can't, if you bring your whole family, your wife and your 6 kids, you can't go out and look for a job right away. And of course, you need tons of social services. You need food, you need housing, you need clothing, you need public education, you need medical. All kind. I mean, it's just huge. And then you can't house these people together. Like Effie was saying, we were talking about this last week. It's like when single men would come across from Mexico, which is predominantly what they would do at first. Single men come across, get a job, get a place to stay, then bring their family over illegally or legally, one way or the other, whatever. But at least the man had a job set up and a place for him to stay. Then you bring them across. But now you come across as a family unit, and not to mention those men could live like, 12 in an apartment. They're just single guys. They work all day and they just want to come and crash somewhere, maybe take a shower, shave and then go to sleep. That's about it. And then maybe Friday, Saturday night go out and get drunk, get loaded. Well, who cares? That kind of thing. So, but that's not the case anymore. Now it's this whole family. Well, you can't just go can't live in a house with like 20 other families, with the women and children and young girls and stuff. So you got that issue, and now it's a freaking disaster. So anyway, so here's this Degenhart guy from the Guatemala ministry saying, yeah, the homicide rates fell from 38.6 per 100,000 to 19. I mean, cut in half. Homicide rates cut in half since 2011 to 2017. Unemployment is down to 2.73%, lower than ours. Their GDP doubled in 10 years, lowest crime in 15 to 20 years. So it's not economic or even security issues. It's just that they're promised a bunch of free shit when they get here. And that's up to the Democrats. So if there's a crisis at the border from the Central Americans, it is the Democrats' fault. But help is on the way. Yes, help is on the way. Mexico deploys 15,000 troops to the U.S. border to block migrants. Now, here's how this is all going to play out. Remember now, you got your Koch brother foundation, Republican establishment assholes. Again, McConnell, I get half mad at him, but he does really good for us on the judges, and he made the Democrats vote on that Green New Deal, which is hilarious. But anyway, so you can't get too mad at him. But anyway, he's an establishment guy. The Koch brothers, they all love, free, cheap labor from Mexico, and they love free, cheap shit from Mexico. So they didn't want Trump doing the tariffs. They were, McConnell let Trump know, hey, we might have the votes in the Senate to override a veto. If you put the tariffs in place, we'll vote for you to get rid of them. You veto it, there might be enough votes in the Senate, because probably there are, to override your veto. It's going to be really bad optics. That was the last time. But if the Democrats in the House screw with McConnell on this last bill that McConnell worked really hard on, and he got, again, 30-1 by total bipartisan vote coming out of the Senate committee on this, Homeland Security Committee, 30-1. I mean, that's totally bipartisan. And if the people in the House, Pelosi and friends, screw with him on this, and they can't get this bill through, McConnell may just, and Trump does this tariff thing next time, if the Mexicans don't play ball, McConnell may just allow Trump's tariffs to go through, because the House I don't think could override the veto, and if McConnell says no, then the Senate's not going to override it, and that tariff thing will go through on Mexico, 5%, with 5% increases per month until something happens. So anyway, so Mexico's got a bunch of troops down at their southern border of Guatemala. They're now deploying. This was from yesterday, or the day before. 15,000 troops at the U.S. border to block migrants. Yeah, this was yesterday. So anyway, this wasn't part of the original written agreement. Remember, Trump said he had this private deal with the Mexicans. Well, this looks like this is part of it. Anyway, so now, hey, tariffs work. Hey, go figure. Ben Shapiro, you're an idiot. You were wrong. What do you want? Anyway, Mexico now has some 15,000 troops deployed to its northern border with the U.S. to try to help control the flow of migrants headed north, a top official revealed Monday. Now, again, I don't want to hear about what they're doing or what's going on or all this other shit. Hold on. What I want to see are results. Okay, I want to see going from 4,500 per month down to 3,000. Then 2,000, then 1,000, then like maybe 500 per month. Okay, then I'll start believing what they're doing is true. I don't want to hear they sent a bunch of people there. They sat around with their thumb up their ass, and they didn't stop anybody from heading to our country. They didn't make any arrests or anything like that. Okay, I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to hear anything like that. Okay. So anyway, Defense Minister Luis Crescendo Sandoval said the personnel is a mix of Army units and the country's National Guard, and he acknowledged they are detaining migrants preparing to cross into the U.S. We simply detain them and turn them over to the authorities, he said, according to Agence France Presse, a news wire service. All right. The detentions are a change in tactics for Mexico, which is moving to try to placate President Trump. Mr. Trump had threatened to impose crippling tariffs on Mexico unless the country did more to stop the 4,000 to 5,000 Central American migrants crossing its territory each day en route to the U.S. I mean, just think about that number. Say it's 4,000 a day. Okay, 4,000 a day times 365. That's like 20 million people. No, that's not it. But anyway, it's a big number. It's 900,000 people. Well, I don't know. Let's do the math. I don't know. What is it? See, say 300 would be 304, 12, 1.2 million. Wow. There we go. That's why I went to law school instead of becoming an engineer. So, like, say 1.3 million per year. I mean, you keep that up, you're gonna empty that country out. I mean, there won't be anybody left in Honduras or Guatemala. I mean, they'll all be here. I mean, right now, 1/3 of the entire population of El Salvador, 1/3 of their population lives inside the United States. 1/3 of El Salvador lives inside the United States. What the hell is that? I mean, I was making a joke. I said, can you imagine 1/3 of us, 110 million, all went to France and said, we're going to live here now. And then once we get there, we start being real assholes, too. Give us this, give us this, give us this. Free money, free stuff, free housing. You need to take care of us. Why? Well, because we're Americans. We're from a foreign country. We're your guests. Take care of us. They go crazy. But somehow we're supposed to, like, take everybody in. So anyway, Mexico committed to deploying personnel to its southern border and to holding on to some Central American migrants while their immigration cases proceeded in U.S. courts. But the effort to prevent people at the point of crossing into the U.S. was not part of the publicly disclosed agreement. Again, this was like that private deal that they had going on. So anyway, let's see here. Oh, here's a feel-good story. Soldiers rescued 2 migrants from drowning in canal on U.S.-Mexico border. This was from the Washington Examiner by Julio Rosas, filed today. Or yesterday, actually. It was filed yesterday. The U.S. military announced Tuesday that 2 soldiers who were part of the deployment to the U.S.-Mexico border rescued a migrant woman and her child from drowning as they attempted to cross the border. First Lieutenant Samuel Mueller and Staff Sergeant Michael Matthews are part of a mobile surveillance team assisting Customs and Border Protection, according to the U.S. Northern Command. Matthews jumped into the water after he saw the woman and her child struggling in a canal near El Paso, Texas. Mueller used his shirt as a makeshift lifeline until CBP agents arrived and threw them a rescue line. No one was injured in the incident. Let's see, hold on. My team leader reacted decisively and without hesitation, said Mueller. He jumped into the canal in full uniform. Now, mind you, anybody who's been in boots and a lot of heavy clothing, he jumped into the canal in full uniform and boots to help a woman and her child in need. I'm glad the woman and her child are okay. I think it was a great victory for the joint U.S. Army CBP team, Matthews said. And he goes, though we have specific instructions to ensure CBP forces are in the lead to interact with the immigrant crossing the border, he goes, I made it clear to my soldiers that they are authorized in every case to help when they feel human life is at stake, said Lieutenant Colonel William Conda, commander of the 3rd Squadron, 89th Cavalry Regiment. The U.S. has deployed both active duty and National Guard troops to the southern border in response to the increased number of migrants attempting to cross. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced last week he was sending 1,000 more National Guardsmen to the border. And he said this is necessary because more than 45,000 people have been apprehended crossing our border in just the last 3 weeks, and just across Texas, and they've come from across the entire globe, coming from 52 different countries. 52 different countries. It's amazing. All right, and Ken Cuccinelli is curtailing work permits for those with pending asylum cases. Go check that out. All right, Stephen Nelson and Anna Giartorelli. Okay, Ken Cuccinelli. Here we go. Ken Cuccinelli, the new leader. I'm going to grab a cigarette. All right, let's see. Ken Cuccinelli, the new leader of the agency that processes asylum cases, moving to curtail work permits. Up, phone call coming in. Hey, Effie, this is Carl. How you doing?
I thought if I called in, then your number would be tied up and you couldn't get any more trouble.
Any more zombie callers? There you go. But
See
yeah,
how that works? It's all tragedy.
yeah, good strategery. Definitely good strategery there.
Strategy, or however Bugs Bunny used to say it.
Yeah.
Strategy.
Well, yeah, actually, what I got it the way I have it set up now, because I don't know if you're on my when I first started doing this, I had it set up where if people were calling, you could hear the phone ringing, but I got it set up where the only person who can see that the phone is ringing is me. So like you can't hear when they're trying to call in or anything. Yeah, that's just right. So yeah, so
that's very, very nice of you. That's very polite of you as a host.
Well, it takes time to learn these little things, but yes, after 4 months, yes, I learned them all. So how you been? How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm on cold medicine, so if I sound a little droopy, it's 'cause I am. I have I am drooping from the cold medicine like a wilted flower. I have a question. So Mexico is sending
15,000.
No, 15,000 troops. Were deployed to the U.S.-Mexico border. They also send like 3,000 or 5,000 to their southern border last month as well, allegedly. I haven't seen pictures, so if there's no pictures, it didn't happen as far as I'm concerned. But I digress. Then the president yesterday of Mexico, President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador.
Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. Yeah.
Call him President AMLO. He's a leftist. He's a hardcore leftist, by the way. I don't know if you picked up on that from any of these articles, but he says that, well, apparently somebody released a photo of some of his troops detaining like 2 people, and he got all ticked off. They haven't been told to detain anybody, quote unquote. So according to him, the president, AMLO, he says that He says he denies the National Guard and Army were under orders to stop migrants fleeing violence and poverty from crossing the U.S. border. So he's denying that they're under orders to stop crossing. So, therefore, what are they there for, Carl?
I don't know. Let's find it. Let's see if I can pull up that story. President of Mexico denies.
I'm looking at the
denies.
Judge report.
Let's see. President of Mexico denies arresting or detaining, I guess, detaining migrants. Are you still there? Up? You still there? Okay, yeah. You kind of like sound like you were like in a like a big tub of water. Like you were drowning.
Probably the cold medicine is affecting my phone too.
Let's see, Mexico. Here we go. This is from This is from Yahoo News, and let's see what they say. Mexico will.
Now it's affecting you. This is some strong medicine.
I know you got me really sick. You got me sick over here. But anyway, see, Mexico will not detain migrants at U.S. border. President. So let's take. Okay, I'll pull this story up here in a sec. Let me grab it here. Let's see, make it a little bit larger so we can all see it. Okay, let's see, let me get it over here. Dum-ba-doom. Boom. Okay, you won't be able to see it yet, but it's there. Anyway, according to Yahoo News, Mexico will not detain migrants at U.S. border. President. Mexico's president vowed Tuesday to investigate the controversial detention of migrants trying to cross the U.S. border, saying the 15,000 troops he has deployed there have no such orders. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, a leftist who took office in December vowing to protect migrants' rights, has come under fire over an AFP journalist's images last week of heavily armed guardsmen forcibly detaining 2 women and a girl at Rio Grande. International law protects the right of undocumented migrants who cross borders to seek asylum. Mexico had not typically stopped them. However, Lopez Obrador is facing pressure from President Trump to slow the surge. Less tariffs, facing backlash at home. The leader known as AMLO denied the National Guard and Army were under orders to stop. Well, you know what? Here's the deal with that. Maybe they were under orders to stop and he just got caught with a picture. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because what's the point of the 15,000 troops to just stand? What are they directing traffic? Are they pointing their way to the? It's that way. There's the border. Keep going. You know, what are they doing? Are they giving them water bottles like in a marathon? Here's your water bottle, and cheering them as they cross the border. What are they? What's their? They just there to witness?
That's what the House of Representatives wants. Our Border Patrol. I brought up the analogy earlier. They want to. I'm not sure if you're on yet, but I said they want our Border Patrol detention facilities to be like truck stops for these people, like on the way into the interior of the United States. In other words, just hold them long enough to give them a shower, some food, some water, some clothing, some medical treatment, and then let them go when they go on to the next place. And because that's why they're denying funding for additional beds on the interior for ICE, and also denying money for investigating human trafficking, but allowing money for inspections of the facilities. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, I don't know how this is going to play out, but next month it's supposed to go back and take a look to see if the numbers have gone down at the border. If they haven't, hopefully McConnell will be pissed off enough to allow the tariffs to go through.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If the president of Mexico sent these troops in order to stave off the tariffs, and then now he's saying they're under orders to not interfere, then yeah, we should go right back to the tariffs.
Right.
That's my opinion anyway. I mean, what? That's less than meaningless. In fact, it's worse. It's like, yeah, you can just walk right past all the authorities. And also, as you were saying in the other article, if people are coming from 52 different countries, then they can't even claim international laws at play there because they're supposed to stop, in one of the other countries they're going through. I mean, you got to be going through more than one country to get here. So,
right.
Anyway, it just seems like they just constantly keep shuffling the deck, so it's always stacked against us, and the Democrats are just playing along with that. So,
No,
yeah,
well. Again, no, I totally agree. The Democrats want open borders. They're not looking for any kind of enforcement, and the money they're passing. I mean, she had to appease all the freaks on her left, and they were just pretty much saying, don't give any money to anything, so that we have to release them, and don't give any money to ICE, so they can't detain anybody on the inside of the country. Do it that way. So and then she passes this bill. Pretty much all the Republicans voted against it. And I don't know how they're going to conference that one through. But last time we did the conference committee, the Senate Republicans caved to the Democrats in the House. The last time they did something like this. So I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping they don't cave. Hey, did you see? Look on the screen. I got your name up there. Guest Effie Loves America on phone.
Oh, cool! You're getting fancy with the bells and the whistles there.
Yeah, I did this the other night when I had. You weren't on the other night. Oh, I had I had disabled vet on a live video call, right? So he was in the box next to me.
Cool.
And then I had the great dirtbag on the phone at the same time.
Cool.
Yeah. So and
your call-in guest can hear. Can your call-in guest now hear everything? Have you resolved that problem?
Yep, I got it. Where the call-in guest can talk to the video call-in guest. So the phone call guest can talk to the video calling guest, and everybody can talk to each other. I can talk to everybody. So yeah, I got that worked out about a week or two ago, and I think it was Sunday, whatever night I did it. Sunday night, I think. What's tonight? Tuesday? Yeah, Sunday night. First disabled wanted to do a video call, so I put him on, and then great dirtbag called in. And then I said, "Can everybody hear everybody?" And they go, "Yep, yep." I go, "Hey." It was the first time I did it on a non-test.
Was it a hardware solution, or did you get
combo? It was primarily It was primarily software. I had to allow.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was within my software. I had to find a way to allow the audio to go back and forth without looping. So it was a combination of the hardware, but I had the hardware good. And then when I made that last adjustment to the software, where what I did to the hardware worked, and where it wasn't looping with what I did to the software, it made it work. Because in other words, I could always do it, but I got the echo or the ground loop, so it made it impossible. I mean, it was on, but you couldn't do it because nobody would want to listen to that. It was terrible. Or the caller wouldn't want to hear himself talking, all the time, Be like if you were talking right now, if you kept hearing your voice echoing, you'd be like hanging up in 2 seconds. So, but yeah, so I was really happy that it all
sound.
worked. Yeah.
Your own voice is the worst. It's just awful. People hate hearing themselves.
Well, it's not. It's right because it's that little delay, and so when you go to and I've had
echo.
that. Right, you go to speak, you're like, oh. You're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
it's really really terrible. But yeah, so anyways, the House passed their bill, the Senate's got their bill, and they're voting on the floor tomorrow on the Senate bill. And if I was McConnell, I wouldn't allow any amendment. Say, here's your bill. It came out of committee 30-1, and let's take our chances with the conference. I'd play hardball. If they want to go away on vacation without passing something, that's on them. And then if it, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm surprised that the House did get their bill passed, and that's kind of impressive. But then that tells me that maybe they just did it to look like they're not being the obstructionists that they are, and maybe the Senate is going to not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, in other words, it's a deal. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old and cynical and conspiratorial in my old age. But, I seem to see a pattern often when it comes to bills, quote unquote, passing, that they pass to no avail because they know that those the Senate or the president is going to, depending on who the president is and who passed what, it's going to just. It's like when
Oh,
the Republicans
your
were
phone's
in
kind of
charge.
your phone's kind of going in and out. It's like you're.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why. I'm
Oh,
right by
it's
the window too.
good
It
there.
usually works.
Good there right now. That's it.
Oh, okay. Remember when the Republicans were in charge of the House and Obama was president, and they kept passing all of those bills to dismantle Obamacare.
Right, repeal and replace bills, right?
Knowing full well they weren't going to go anywhere, but it made them look good.
Right. Made them look good to their base. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of, that's kind of what I'm feeling right now about it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just I've lived too long and seen too much of that.
Well, what I would do if I was Trump, because it appears that the one guy did leak the raid thing, which is, I think, part of the reason why Trump said, okay, I'll call off the raids this weekend because they were, the deportations, because they were leaked, and so now everybody's on edge, and everybody was ready for him. So he threw Pelosi a bone, but then Pelosi shit all over him, saying, "Oh, I got the president that changed his mind, and the president sucks," and I'm gonna stand up to him. So what he ought to do is, like, if this thing doesn't go through before the July 4th weekend, he said he would hold off for 2 weeks. Fuck them. Just like, hey, I do it this weekend, without telling anybody, and hopefully that McClellan guy doesn't leak it. If he does, he should get fired immediately. And say, okay, hit him now, or don't even wait till the weekend. Like, do it like on a Friday. Or hell, July 4th. Everybody will be outside barbecuing. Good time to catch them, Boom. Nobody will be locked in their house. Grab them on a holiday. Kind of like the Tet Offensive in Vietnam. They hit us during the Tet Offensive because that was always supposed to be a time when nobody did anything. It's like, you call it like the July 4th Offensive. July 4th, they'll all be drinking beer and, barbecuing and stuff, and they'll all be outside. The doors won't be closed. The window blinds won't be down, and because they can't break down the door. But they'll be out in the backyard or the front yard or on the driveway. That's normal. So they'll be on the driveway. And then,
well, it's just funny to me, the whole concept of illegals celebrating the 4th of July anyway, and then getting arrested or rather deported, arrested and then deported, I guess.
Well, the funny thing,
is
again,
kind of poetic and weird.
Well, it's poetic and weird. And again, the funny thing is, I was saying this, they're like, Jesus, if we just get them away from the Democrats and their free shit, they're natural Republicans. They are very patriotic. They will salute the flag. They're not going to kneel down to the flag and all this stuff at football games. I mean, they probably look at these people doing that like, you're a bunch of freaks. Why would you do that? Why would you? Like we almost died getting over here, and why am I going to disrespect the flag that I almost died to get in here? I go, like I was saying, this isn't your father's Democratic Party, and I said this isn't your father's like illegal immigrants today. These are people coming here for free shit. That's all they want because they were told to get free shit. That story, you saw the story I just did from the Guatemalan guy saying, "Hey, our GDP doubled in 10 years. Our unemployment is down to 2 point and change. Crime is the lowest level it's been in 15 years. But they're being told you're gonna get free shit. They're not coming over for a job. They're coming across as a goddamn family. It's like shit,
Yeah. Yeah, one of the presidents, now I can't remember now if it was the Guatemalan or the El Salvadoran, maybe it was the Guatemalan, but he was saying, they don't want to lose any more people because they're losing their young, healthy, strong people. This is not sustainable for them as a nation.
Right.
They need their population, replacement to keep to keep their nation going. I mean, it's not good for them either. They may be getting some remittance money, but having a bunch of elderly, Guatemalans getting a pension, sort of, so to speak, is not going to keep the country going the next generation.
Well, no, especially if their GDP, right? Yeah, especially if their GDP just doubled in the last 10 years, you kind of want to keep that going. Well, you're not going to keep that GDP growth going if you're sending all your young, healthy workers out of the country.
But
no, right? Even the remittances aren't going to make up the difference.
20% of their GDP actually is remittances. From that one article I read. last
Right.
month. But
that's not sustainable.
Yeah, exactly. If the young, healthy people are coming here and sending their checks to grandma to keep her in her old age, it's basically her Social Security, and that's just a Band-Aid for the economy down there. Grandma dies, end of. Where's the replacement workers coming from?
Right, because once grandma dies, you're going to stop sending money. And then once you stop sending money, then shit. Then there's no grandma to spend the money with the money you sent her to help keep the economy sustaining. So it's not sustainable.
Yep.
These people will die. I mean, some of these people yeah, go ahead.
It's not sustainable for them, or it's not sustainable for their country to be healthy financially. So the I think it was the Guatemalan president I saw being interviewed, and it wasn't the president. He was a what do you call it, ambassador representing him. But yeah, that's basically what they're saying. Yeah, this isn't good for us either. Well, it's the short run kind of good. Well, yeah, we're getting money now from remittances and from. Of course, there's also the organizations that are funneling money into and bribing and, et cetera, et cetera. So those organizations are giving them some cash too. But that's all going to dry up, So it's a temporary, it's just candy. It's not a real meal that's going to sustain them. It's just like when you put money it's just like government spending to try to boost an economy. It's a bubble. It's artificial inflation, and then the bubble bursts, and you're actually worse off at the end of that. Right. So, that's effectively what they're doing. And so in the meantime, the greedy people who are in charge, they're getting the bribes. They're taking the candy because it's good for them in the now. But, if they care about their children and their children's children, they need to wake up to that's not sustainable. And anyway, so it's just a human greed,
Well, did you hear the other story I was going to cover? TSA is sending more than 650 airport screeners and federal air marshals to the border. So you got 650 guys.
Wow.
Yeah, these guys are used to sitting in air conditioning inside of an airport, telling you to take your shoes off.
Oh, they're going to hate that.
Oh, they're going to hate this.
They're going to hate that.
Oh God, yeah. But actually, it's kind of
happened to a nicer bunch of entitled jerk-offs anyway. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Right. No, they are jerk-offs.
Useless, vestigial organization that shouldn't even exist as it exists anymore.
Oh, they are so rude. I think
the airport should do their own screening. The airlines should do their own screening, and there should not be any government entities because they suck.
No, they are awful. There have been so many times when they've gotten stuff past them, and the people who work at TSA, I mean, they're just rude. They're bitter, angry people, and they just love being mean and nasty to you because they know if you say, hey, you're being kind of rude, go over here, then you got to sit inside this glass cubicle locked in.
Exactly.
Then they won't even let you out.
Yeah.
They'll say, no, we got to keep you here till somebody shows up, and then of course, what was that one woman trying to bring her milk that she had bottled herself, her breast milk, and they kept giving her a hard time about it, and then she ended up having to sit inside this. They left. They obviously had her ticket, so they knew when her plane was taking off, and they purposely left her in there long enough where she couldn't make her flight. Just to be dicks about it.
Yeah, there's tons of stories of them bullying people because they get off on it. So I'm glad they're getting sent to the hot desert because that's where they belong.
Yeah.
They're terrible, narcissistic bullies, and they deserve every discomfort that they get. Because I have no patience for narcissistic bullies, so sorry. It may not be the Christian attitude, but I have no patience for it.
No,
my problem.
No, I don't either. I don't either. Did you hear about this other thing? Pro-choice advocates are pushing do-it-yourself abortion kits. They're sending it to the states. Did you hear that story?
I vaguely remember it, but I didn't read it. I don't think I wanted to.
Well, I'll read the first paragraph to you. A coalition of pro-choice advocates is expanding abortion services via shipments of do-it-yourself medications and telemedicine in several states, including Georgia, which recently banned the practice after a fetal heartbeat is detected. Now, I'm not sure exactly. I didn't read the whole article. Let me just scroll down to see what the hell that is. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what is a teleabortion. I mean, is it like you do it over the phone or something, and they give you a kit? I
I had never
mean,
heard that term before, but I know that what is it, the RU482 or whatever, till
oh,
whatever, I can't remember.
it says
Um,
here we go. It says
that,
women who
uh-huh.
participated in the study had video conferences with a study clinician, pre-treatment lab tests, and
Oh,
ultrasounds,
okay.
and then it says
Mm-hmm.
packages with mifepristone, like some kind of and misoprostol were mailed to those who were eligible. The women received instructions for using the
Mm-hmm.
abortion medications and had follow-up tests and consultations with clinicians by phone or video conference. So I guess yeah, it's some kind of medicine you take. It is like a morning after pill, I guess. I
Right.
guess I guess that makes sense. Some kind of like a I guess it causes you to go into labor or something maybe early.
So they're saying that they're using this way of delivering in order to get around state laws. Is that what
Yeah,
they're saying?
yeah. And then
Interesting.
let's see. Let's see. Officials in Georgia did not return calls Tuesday seeking comment on the teleabortion effort. Let's see. The data show that one woman was okay. Here we go. Of the 248 women who went through this who participated in this, 217 provided follow-up information. The data showed that one woman was hospitalized for post-operative seizure, another for excessive bleeding. A
Mm-hmm.
total of 27 women had unscheduled clinical encounters, 12 of which resulted in no treatment. A total of 159 women who received abortion medications expressed satisfaction with the teleabortion services, according to the study published this month. And let's see, their own data shows a lot of problems. What else? Yeah, so I guess it's some kind of I don't know. I don't know enough about the issue, and this article really doesn't explain that much about it. But it sounds kind of fucked up, whatever it is. It doesn't
Well,
sound
yeah,
right.
there. I mean, people who study the abortion, industry have a lot to say about the drug version of abortion isn't all, safe and roses and chocolate drops either. So there are a lot of side effects and problems for women,
So I guess
health wise who
so,
take those
so
drugs as much as the other methods.
right. So would it just
So,
be like
but
first
what
trimester
I
only,
wondered,
probably, or what is that? What do you think?
well, one would presumably yes,
Okay.
but you know, how do you know if you're not physically examining someone, if there's no ultrasound and you're just going by what they tell you? I that's yeah, because you know some female wants to have done with it and get around the laws, and she's going to say, yeah, it's this far along. I don't see how without examination, you're just taking someone's word. How do they know how far along the pregnancy is? They
Right.
don't know. They're
Yeah.
just taking the patient's word for it. That's, to me, that's medical malpractice.
Yeah.
I think.
It sounds like yeah, they have him do some kind of like ultrasound at some clinic that's like then you're not going in to get an abortion, but you're going in to get an ultrasound. And then I don't know, maybe you get the
Oh, okay, all
maybe
right.
you get the disc and you shoot it off to them or something. You have it emailed to somebody. I don't know, but it's still though. I
Mm.
agree with you. It sounds like anytime you do it. I mean, like I've heard of like using psychologists, like on video conference calls for treatment to like rural communities, like where I live, but that's a little bit different than like some kind of a physical operation or a physical procedure you're getting, and the doctor's not like right there, to like examine you or anything. I mean, that sounds pretty screwed up.
Well, it's strange. You have to go into a clinic anyway to get testing done, unless they're just doing it to get around laws. And if so, some of these laws that we're referring to, they haven't even been completely enacted yet. So, where are they doing this testing? Is it a place that it's, already illegal to abort after a certain time? Or, because my understanding is these more recent bills have only just been passed and haven't really been put into effect yet. So where is this testing being done, and why? And is it testing in the their internal, their electronics, their internal system, et cetera, is working, or is it testing in the sense of to see if they don't get into legal trouble? I don't know.
But I have no idea.
To me that if something's illegal in a state, it's illegal in a state. It doesn't matter if you're doing it on a conference call or if you're doing it in person. It's illegal.
Here's the problem.
That shouldn't make any difference to the jurisdiction.
Well, here's the problem. Okay, remember now, all these laws always have an exception where because they had to put this in, where the woman, the mom, cannot be prosecuted, right? So they had to put that in, otherwise it'd be like, oh, you're trying to prosecute the mom, blah blah blah. So now you have somebody who's outside the jurisdiction. So if somebody's committing a crime, they're not in the jurisdiction. What kind of jurisdiction does that state have over that person for committing a crime where they're not present, where they're not located there? I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of like if you, like, in other words, you're a telemarketer and you call in and you're scamming somebody like in Georgia, and you're calling from California. I mean, yeah, you can be prosecuted from Georgia. A nationwide bench warrant can be issued for your arrest. But I think these crimes, I don't know. I don't know how effective the Attorney General would be on something like that. Beats me. I don't know if there's some kind of loophole they're using to try to get around it, because it's just providing medication versus a procedure versus who knows what. Beats me. But it sounds like it's, you pass a law that's always.
Well, they could eventually do it. They could eventually do a sting, whatever method of delivery they could use. If it's telephone, of course, that adds charges to it. If it's an internet service provider they're using, et cetera, et cetera, a sting could be done in that sense. So you could still track backwards and make trouble for however their method of communication delivery is, and make it impossible for them to, peddle their evil wares in your state. Just like mail fraud, it adds, the crime of doing something gets compounded by using other, like using the telephone, for example, as you know. So,
right.
But then that warrants then a bigger investigation, because then you could add those charges on and make it not just one case or two cases, but the whole system of using that communication.
Right, like 200 cases, and then some of these 200, like even low-level felonies or 200 misdemeanors or whatever it is, and that adds up really quick. But anyway, I tell you what, I'm going to let you go.
Conspiracy.
Right. I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you go, because I'm going to wrap up the live stream for tonight. I wanted to jump on here and definitely touch on the immigration.
And I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah, oh, actually, that'd be great. You definitely need to get some sleep, but you get some sleep. And so you think it's just a cold? You don't think it's a flu or anything? Just a cold?
Oh, it's just, it's a cold, or it's probably actually allergies. I think that jasmine is blooming right now, and it's killing me. So, taking my
Benadryl?
Sudafed, et cetera, et cetera.
Sudafed.
Benadryl, all that.
God, poor
Can't
girl.
breathe.
I am so sorry for you. I am so sorry. All right, young lady. Well, hey.
I just didn't want to call you sounding yucky.
No, you sound good. I can hear you through the headset. You sound good.
Trolls.
Yeah, better than the trolls. Well, it's funny, the one troll, he was really nasty. The one that got the zombie, and I'm glad I kept him off, because that was a really nasty one. I mean, just some people just want to put some really disgusting stuff on here. We actually haven't had phone call trolls in a while, but we got like 3 of them, three tonight, 3 different calls tonight. So I guess we're being targeted again.
I like your zombie, so say hi to the zombie for me. Have a good night.
All right, you take care, Miss Effie.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was a great Effie Loves America, our call-in guest for tonight, our real call-in guest for tonight, if you will, versus the troll call-ins. And like I said, if you call in and you're a troll and I don't know you, you get the zombie. And for anybody who doesn't remember what the zombie looks like, let's see here. There's a zombie. No, no, zombie. Oh, that's a zombie. But anyway, so yeah, if you call in, I don't know who you are, you get the zombie. But if I know who you are, you don't get the zombie. Unless you want the zombie. Then you can say, Carl, give me the zombie. And then you get the zombie. So there you go. But anyway, this is we're going to wrap this one up. I've been on for just under an hour and a half, and really good topics tonight. Definitely wanted to cover that House vote and what the House decided to do to gut the bill. And so it's a real shame because again, the Senate passed it 30-1. That was totally bipartisan of the Senate, and all the House had to do was pass that one. But Pelosi couldn't get the people on the left to go for it. AOC and Omar and the other freaks over there in the House of Representatives. And so we'll see what happens when it goes to conference. And all I can say is I hope the Republicans don't cave like they did last time, because they want to put all these restrictions on Health and Human Services, Department of Homeland Security, and Immigration Customs Enforcement, and also Customs Border Patrol. So we can't be having that. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Hey, thank you, Mr. Rocky. And thank you, Effie Loves America, for calling in. And Shonda and everybody who's been in the chat, everybody's been viewing us, and everybody who'll be viewing us later. So for Carl's Opinion, this is Carl. Have a great night. We'll talk to you later. See you in the next live stream. Bye-bye.